I don't know why everyone wants to go to the fifth one.
Yeah. It's good marketing for the
Yeah,
fifth
it's a
one.
good marketing
It's like
for the
Austin,
fifth dimension.
You know? It's pretty cool, but it's got great marketing.
So the thing is that everyone wants to go there somehow, I don't know, but the fifth dimension is the expansion of light or awareness of the third and the fourth.
Uh-huh.
So you cannot be in the fifth dimension if you don't enjoy the other two.
Right.
So it's impossible because it's the full awareness of the other two.
A lot of people try to escape the third because they don't enjoy it and go to the fifth. But what you're saying is that doesn't work.
You cannot be in the fifth dimension if you don't enjoy the third. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to say that. But that's how it works because the fifth dimension is the awareness of every vibration and light of your molecules in this body. So if you don't feel your body completely aware, you will not feel the awareness of the fifth dimension. That's why enlightenment is not going to the sky, is to shine. That's ascension is another thing, is another completely thing. So to go to the fifth dimension, you have to shine from the third and to understand every possibility that you have in the fourth. So, which is the time and all the things that you are in the third dimension. For example, third dimension is this, as I said, wide, depth, and height, past, present, and future. So when you are in the fourth dimension, for the fourth dimension, you are not anymore your body here and now. You are the first cell. You are a reptile from millions of years ago. You were a fish. You were a dinosaur. You were.
I was a triceratops for sure.
Okay, good. I love triceratops.
Yeah, me
favorite.
too. They're my favorite too.
Yeah.
See,
so
I knew
maybe we were in the same family.
Yeah, for sure. In the same herd.
Yeah,
of triceratops.
In the same herd. Yeah. So the thing is that you were many things, and your water was in many trees.
Yeah.
Through thousands of years, were in rivers, in the ocean, and then they end up being your blood, every drop of water. So you were so many things that in the fourth dimension, you can access to the data that your cells had about all that. All your evolution through millions of years is encoded there in this body. So in the fourth dimension, you can feel it. You can be that because there's no past, present, and future that you have to follow. You can go through all of them at the same time. There's no need to go up or down or make any effort in the fourth dimension because going down, going up is the same because there's no high, depth, and wide.
Yeah, there's no time.
And no space. So what happened in the fifth dimension is when you locate yourself in the core of all that, see around and say, oh, this is all me. So I can feel, be, and become aware of all that. That's why the fifth dimension is called the dimension of the masters. But it's not because people that study a lot and they accomplish to escape the third dimension and all the matrix and all these kind of things, and they are free in the fifth dimension, guiding humanity to become whatever. No, they just realized that they were everything. So they accomplished to be in the fifth dimension because they simply are, and acknowledge that they are, that we are that cell, the drop of water, the leaf of the tree, that we are.
So I had an experience with the only time I've ever experienced someone who felt to me like a living ascended master, you could call him, or an enlightened being. And that was with Don Miguel Ruiz. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's written some books like The Four Agreements, Mastery of Love.
Yes. Yeah.
I went to go to a workshop with him in Mexico. And when I went to see him, the moment I saw him is one of the moments that changed my life forever, because he looked at me and he looked at me like he'd known me and loved me his whole life. We'd never met, never even talked. He'd known me, he'd loved me his whole life. And he hugged me like it was a reunion with his long lost brother or son or who's somebody, you know? And it was this warmth and expression of life. And every moment that I saw him throughout that whole week, Yeah, he talked about a lot of interesting things, but I don't really remember all the interesting things. I remember the hug that he gave me. I remember when every night he would sip a little glass of his red wine and he would look out at the sunset, and the way that he would look at the world was like he was looking at it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this inner radiance that was just like pure bliss, in this pure bliss. And I guess that's what you're kind of saying, which is this acceptance of all of life. And he'd gone through some different, like I think a serious heart condition and a bunch of, been in hospital. He's not had always an easy existence,
Mm-hmm.
He's gone through his difficult things and beautiful things and his sons and his divorces and marriages and lived this life. But the way he was living was in such rapture of existence, and it was like unshakable rapture of existence. And a lot of people who talk about Ram Dass say the same thing. He says amazing things, of course, but it's the presence of that. And so that, I guess, is that sounds to me kind of like what you're describing about fifth dimensional consciousness, is just absolutely being in love with life, with
That's
this
being
life.
the fifth dimension. I describe being in the fifth dimension like being an electron inside a cable. It seems weird, but it's the most incredible feeling. Because you don't care about what is the information that is going through you. You feel the wave. And when you are here in this reality and you cannot see how the microcosmos works, everything is about this or that, or going there or going away from somewhere.
It's preference, judgment, craving, aversion. It's all of these different things.
But it's normal for this dimension, because in this dimension we are meant to do that, to experience, because here we polarize things in order to create things. Without polarity, you cannot create. So that's why we need to learn a lot about polarity in the third dimension in order to manifest, to create what we are doing. But when you go to the tiniest dimension, we go to the first dimension, the one. Then I will align them. When we go to the first dimension, the one dimension, what happens is that you recognize that it's not about this or that. It's not about going somewhere or doing something. It's about just letting be that something. Become that, and without the judgment or the discernment of this or that, because there's no second dimension. It's one, unity. So because you cannot see those two things, you stare at everything as it is, as perfect. And that feeling is what you have in the fifth dimension. Once you accomplish to understand, fully understand and enjoy the fourth and the third. And it's not about leaving this world. It's not about ascending. It's not about leaving this matrix. It's about becoming the matrix, becoming this world, becoming this creation. When you do that is when you are able to feel like what you felt from those people.
So free, just so free, because they're beyond this fear, the fear that happens of, I'm not going to get this thing that I want, or the craving, I really want this thing, and then the fear that you're not, all of these different things that we're saddled with that we think are important. They were just there, and it felt like it wouldn't have mattered if a storm came or whatever. He would have dealt with it and handled it, but nonetheless, like there was just love for being and existing.
You could know who is close to the fifth dimension when you see someone staring and smiling at the funeral. When you know, there's no sadness, like, and
even staring and smiling at their own impending funeral, right? Because it's like, this is perfect too. Perfect.
Yeah.
There's a story that Krishna, East Forest is his musician's name, but he tells of Ram Dass, where when he first met Ram Dass, they just sat across from each other, and he was waiting for a long time, and Ramdas just looked at him in this just peaceful bliss. And this was after his aphasia. And then finally, like 20 minutes later, just says, just this. Like just that silence was perfect.
Yeah.
You know? And that was, again, this profound, like, this. This is so rich. Normally for us, if me and you looked at each other for 20 minutes, we'd be like, okay, like what are we going to do here? Can we get some drinks or what's the plan? But to be in that level of acceptance, it's just this, anything can be perfect.
Yeah. And I have to say, it's amazing, but it's boring. That's why we live in the third one.
Yeah.
So it's good when you go there.
Yeah.
Because this was it. Now let's go back. I want another round.